Hello there. Welcome again. It's Dizzard. Today we're going to be going over painting Baron Zemo and the colors I use. Maybe talk a little bit about him too. But simply begin had a zenithal priming done with him, and then we used monument paints as usual. Did the transparent black over the pants because I wanted a really black pants, and I've just like using the transparent paints a lot. They come out looking pretty well. I do a couple coats of it to get it to the shade of it that I wanted. Did the boots this way too. This is what we started out with. We ended up going over the pants with the brown, kind of make it more of a leather instead of the black, because I wanted to separate the pants from the boots. And here we're using a dark purple as the base coat for the mask and the gloves and his little shirt thing he's got going on down below. Just use this for the base color to start building up the purple to kind of like a purplish red color. I really liked how the purple looked at the end of it for the little shirt piece, so we kept that looking like that. But I like the more purpley red. I don't really know how to describe it because it's not really like a magenta or a maroon. It's, I guess, kind of in between the two. But we start with the dark purple with this. But I really like Baron Zemo. I love this model. I think it looks really cool. He's a fun character to play in the game. Really easy to use. Really good for objective running because he's got that long movement and the charge. Here we're going in with a little bit of bold burnt red. We're going in with burnt red. Really thin layer. We mix it in with the purple a little bit, and just kind of building up that purple a little bit more. I think it was a little too bright for me, so I added a little bit of regular purple to the burnt red to make it a little bit darker. Because I wasn't really ready for it to go to red yet. Because we want that again. I want that purple red color. Then we build it up from there. So we go dark purple, add a little bit of magenta to brighten it up, and then a little bit of bold burnt red, a little bit of burnt red, and then I throw a little bit of purple back into it because it was a little too bright for me, a little too red. And then after that, we add a little bit more magenta, just keep brightening it up. And then I tried doing a transparent red over it. Yeah, Zemo, he's a really interesting character because he's got a lot of mobility. He's not the best defensive wise. He's got the extra rerolls. He's just great for rerolls because he lets everybody just naturally reroll one die, and it's super good. Like, there's no other way to put it. It's just super good. And he's got a decent attack. Like, he can be just like everybody. He can be a little bit spiky, but I don't think his primary focus is attacking. It's being that objective runner, getting in there quick with the long movement, doing a run by attack, and then getting out. Sometimes he can hold his own, but you're not going to be using him to be a primary attacker. And here we're going in with this one's magenta for the color for monument paints, and we use that to brighten up the shirt color. And then I was kind of like trying to decide if I thought this was too red or what I wanted to do exactly. This is where I'm going in with the bold pyrite red over my purple base. Another fun thing you could do with Zemo. I've done this a couple times. If you're running the hammer for your extracting scenario, um, he can get over to that far point and steal it from your opponent before they get it. If you activate him first and you have priority, and it kind of makes them have to focus on him. Yeah, you're kind of sacrificing him at that point, but it kind of lets you get into other points and set up, because it's going to distract them. It's going to throw them on their back foot. They're going to be like, oh wow, he's in my face. He's got my objective. And there's a couple other scenarios he could do that with, just because of how far he can move. So you can really make him a very aggressive objective runner to get in there and just throw your opponent off a little bit, to make them have to focus on him instead of getting into the position that they want to get into. He isn't the best defensive wise again, but he can still possibly hold his own. Plus, he loves having hammers. If you take him out and have him run with a hammer, and he just ends up going around doing damage, like he's doing steel rushes with a decent amount of dice. Like it's pretty good. Well, here I'm going through with a little bit of Null Oil just to kind of darken up certain spots of it, just to make some more shadows in certain areas. Just really simple. And here I'm going to go in through with the black ink, and we're going to start doing the lines on his mask. I love these models, but sometimes like the minor details, like these lines, just become, you pretty much have to freehand them. So I kind of guessed where I thought they'd be. So just black lined it a little bit. It's a little sloppy at first. Then we just go through between the red colors, even them back up, clean it up a little bit, but it came out looking really nice in my opinion. We're kind of just going back through and re-brightening up those purplish red tone that I had after the Null Oil and the black lining. And here's where I'm going through with the transparent red over it, because I still wasn't quite happy with where it was. I want it to be a little bit more red, a little less purple. Kind of looking back at it now, I kind of like the other tone better. But did the transparent red, and then I go back through and do a little bit more black lining to redefine some of those lines. But it's a combination of the transparent red, black lining, doing all that over and over again until I was finally happy with it. So like I kept looking at pictures online, and it's just like his mask and his upper part and his gloves. They're always like it's not quite maroon. Like it's a mix of purple and maroon. That's what I was trying to really go for, but I think I ended up a little bit more red than I wanted it to be honest. And I just used bold titanium white for the eyes. Didn't give them pupils because all the pictures though I could find were very just straight white under the mask. And here we're going in through just the magenta. I think it's a little bit darkened up, but just going through and giving those top layer highlights on the top of the mask. And here we begin the leather for the coat. We base it with a mahogany, and then we do the golden brown for the highlights, and then we just slop on some transparent brown. And I love doing leathers with this combo. I think they come out looking great. It's how I do all my leathers pretty much now. I think they come out looking really good. I really wanted to give him that bomber jacket, that nice leather bomber jacket, and you'll see at the end we went through and did the polka dots on the fur on the jacket. I love that look so much. Yeah, we just go through, give it a nice good coat of the brown before we do the golden brown. So here we're coming through with the golden brown. It's really hitting those high points that we want to give it that leathery texture, like the worn leather. So you hit the high points with this, and then you're gonna go through the transparent brown, and it just darkens it back up. It's kind of like glazing. I look at the transparent paints as like a glaze. That's kind of what they're doing. It's just a super thin paint because it's not really a wash, but because it acts more like a glaze than it does a wash. But it just works so well for leathers and other stuff too. I've used it for just enhancing colors, using them as glazes, tying colors together, leathers. If I do a black cloth, I just zenithal prime it and then do like how the pants look right now, zenithal prime it and do the transparent black, and it doesn't look bad at all. And we're coming in through the transparent brown, and we'll see the magic happen. So we go through with a couple coats of this. I had it watered down too much, so I just kind of put some more out there. Your transparency is going to depend on how much you thin it out. You can use this stuff straight out of the bottle, or you can thin it. It just depends on what you're really going for. The first time I did it, it was a little too thin, so I just used a little bit on the side and used it straight out of the bottle to get this. I do a couple coats of this to get to the tone and the look that I wanted. I'm about to go through and I just used the transparent brown over the belt. I didn't go back through with the mahogany, and because I kind of wanted it to be a little bit different. I didn't want it to be the exact same leather looking stuff as the jacket was, so we did it slightly different. Here we're going through with another coat of the transparent brown over the jacket just to darken it up just a little bit more. And then I decided to do the pants brown too. I wanted to make them leather. So I based them with my mahogany, and then we go in with the golden brown. And I didn't use at this point I hadn't used the transparent brown yet on the pants. It's just mahogany and golden brown. Or umber, that's actually an umber. That's a light umber. So mahogany and light umber. And then I went over the pouches again with golden brown just to kind of like give those edge highlights and hit it back up with the transparent brown again. So I initially tried doing a non-metallic metal for the gauntlets or the bracers and the headpiece. I wasn't doing too well with it, to be honest. So then I just decided to go with true metallics and based it with a rich gold, and then did the highlights with a bright gold to really get that shine in certain spots. But we use that for both the bracers, the hilt of the sword, and the little headpiece he wears. Oh, and the belt buckle too, and the buckles on the jacket. We're just making sure we got a nice, good, even coat. Especially with metallics, you want to make sure you get that nice, good, even coat because you don't want those brush lines in there at all. And then we hit it with a little bit of Nuln Oil to darken up a little bit of pieces before we hit that highlight piece. And then here we come through with the bright gold to top off the highlights. We're kind of just only hitting like the top parts of things, the stuff that would be hit with light. Leave that underside, that regular rich gold. When we come through the sword, we just hit it with a dark warm gray, and then we're gonna go through with a little bit of white to hit the edges and throw a little bit of, I guess, messiness into it. And then we highlight the boots with the gray. And that's two similar colors, so we use bring in a warm gray to hit the edges of the boots and just give it some more definition. And then we use that same gray to just touch up the sword and give it some character, you could say. At this point, we're gonna start working on the fur. We just base it with the bold titanium. Actually, no, I use a I used bright ivory for this because I don't want it to be pure white. I want to have a little bit of that yellow tone to it. So bright ivory, and then we go through with the black ink to put the dots in throughout the whole entire thing. And here we're just going through and just placing dots. Let me start working on the base. Do the dark warm gray to begin with, add a little bit of warm gray, a little bit of white to it, so brighten it up. Then we do the rock too. The rock we just do with a little bit of the leftover ivory, throw a little bit of gray into it, and then we just throw some agrax over the rock, and it came out looking really good. And then we blackline all the cracks of the base just to give it that little extra definition. And I was a little darker than I normally like it for these bases to be. So afterwards, off camera, I went through and did another coat of the gray over the pavement just to give it a little bit brighter. Yeah, we just go through with the black lining, and after that, it's just touch-ups of the base, and it's pretty much done. It's a lot of fun to paint. Really simple. Learned quite a bit with him actually, playing with the transparent paint and trying to get that purple color just right. I really love this model. I probably just want to play with him more. I haven't played with him in quite a while now actually, that I'm thinking about it. Pretty much since I painted him. And that's what he looks like all done. Nice little picture of him. Came out looking really good. But hope you enjoyed the video, and catch you on the next one.